Right, we're live. Good morning. On the show with us today, we have Tega Onojaife, popularly known for her program The Locker Room and also her conference called Women in Ladies in Sports International. I hope I got that right.
Yes, you did. You got that right. Ladies in
Okay,
sports.
okay, right. She's a very great sportscaster, and she's known for her in-depth analysis on sports of all sorts. So, Tega, it's great to have you on the show with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. I'm glad we're talking sports and we're talking um, your dreams and your ambitions. So I'm good to go when you are.
Okay, so on the Money Buff show, we interview people that are doing what they love for a living. And we do this because we hope to inspire people that have a passion for something but are not able to do it or are afraid to do it because they think they can't earn a living from pursuing their passions. So we hope that when we interview people like you can inspire others in the same sector, same career, or even something different, but just aspire to do something that they were not able to do before because they didn't think they could earn a living from it. So I'm going to ask you a question at the end regarding if this chosen career that you've delved into is able to pay your bills. But I'm going to save it for the last question. So let's go backwards to how it all started. So I know you were working in an insurance company and you left. You left. I read an interview of yours that you said that there was a match you were watching and they gave your favorite player a red card and that you were so distraught that you didn't go to work the next day before because of that. And then afterwards you quit your job to follow your career, your chosen career path now. So tell me, what was so significant about that event? At least I'm sure it wasn't the first time you've seen someone being given a red card. So why did that inspire your change in career?
Okay, so first and foremost, it's Zinedine Zidane. Always know his name. You have to know his name. All right. So it's Zinedine Zidane at the 2006 World Cup, I think it was, and it was France playing against Italy. So don't forget, it was Zinedine Zidane getting a red card for headbutting Materazzi. That's a different story. But what got to me was prior to that, I had been going to radio stations to give analysis, and that morning I woke up and I did not. I was too distraught to go to work, but I was not too distraught to go to the studio to talk about sports. So, so that was it. I was upset about the incident, and I didn't go to work. So I called in sick. Yes, my boss can't do anything to me now. It's been years. I called in sick, and I didn't go to work that day. But I was very eager to go to the studio that evening. In fact, I I went to the studio very early and waited for about an hour or so just to get to talk my mind on my show. So it was after that I thought to myself, if I'm this eager to talk sports, but not eager to go to work, regardless of the fact I was making money from work, I'm not making money from sports, then maybe I should be switching. And that's when I sent in my resignation letter. I didn't resign immediately. I sent in my resignation letter, stayed till the end of the month so I could get that salary, and left. Yes. So for me, it was the fact that it was a career changing moment because I thought to myself then that if I could skip work but not skip the studio, then maybe I shouldn't be doing the work I was doing at the time. So it had been on my mind, but that was the incident that just pushed me to do it.
Right, fantastic. So did you have money saved when you made this uh, career change? Did you have anything saved? As in, what
Okay,
gave you the
okay,
courage to leave?
okay. This is so. So I tell people this is money is never enough. regardless of how much you think you have, money is never enough. However, at the time, I had just a little money, but yeah, it was not enough to save. But I really wanted to do something I loved. Like I said, they were already thoughts in the back of my mind that I was not doing what I really wanted to do. I mean, the job I was doing enabled me to speak to people, which is something I like doing, but it was not really, I was not really finding fulfillment in it. But I didn't have as much money saved, which is why I didn't tell my parents that I had left my job till 6 months after. I couldn't tell them. And whatever money I had saved, I had to use it to keep up appearances. Because in Nigeria, how you start working and you start sending money home. So the money I had saved was just to use to keep up appearances, to be sending money home as if nothing had happened. It wasn't even for myself. I couldn't dare tell my parents that I left a good paying job to a job where they were not paying me at all. So for the first 6 months, I was using whatever was saved to send money back home. And then when I got my first paycheck from sports 6 months after, then I told them that I had switched jobs.
Wow. That takes a lot of courage. That really takes a lot of
I was
courage.
young and stupid. I wouldn't do that now.
Okay. Okay. So when you left, was that when you attended the Mark Edo consulting firm for training, or you did that while you were working?
Okay, when I no 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 when I left and started going on air, when I left and decided I was going to start going on air, I had to look for uh, a training program that would qualify me. Because yes, I'm educated. Yes, some people say I'm well spoken, but I needed to get that radio and TV training. So it was after I left, then I went for the training, and then I got the first paid job that I had.
Okay. Do they still do training like that? Because I checked online for them, but I couldn't find much on them. As in, how does one qualify to attend their
Okay,
course?
so you have to basically you have to pay some good money. But I was fortunate because at the time, at the time, I was freelancing. I was a freelance sports pundit somewhere, and a training was a requirement. So the company paid for my training. But
Wow.
usually you have to pay for that training. I don't know if that consultancy is still doing a training, but they were also accredited by the BBC, and yeah, so it will cost you a lot of baby food to to get that training now. But fortunately for me, my company paid at the time.
Okay, fantastic. And the training was for how long?
The training was for about a week, so we had um, the TV training and we had the TV and the radio training. We had the practical and the theory, but it was about a week. Usually, those programs will take longer. Especially if you're very green, then you have those 3 months, 6 months dragged out program. But this was kind of for those that already had some experience. So I had the experience already on radio, um, and so this was just to give me a certification.
Okay. Okay, all right. That's fantastic. Okay, so when you first started, I imagine that in order to grow and to improve yourself, you must have been mirroring some people, or watching some people to improve yourself until you found your own style. So who were some of the people that you got inspiration from when you first started?
Okay, here's what was tricky about it because I'd always loved sports, but I've never loved the way sports was presented at the time in Nigeria. My I think my major influences were American sports because I love the NBA. I love the NFL. I used to watch those things. So I like the energy. Um, but I didn't have their accent and I didn't want to have their accent. So I just wanted to keep my accent, but I liked their energy. So to say I was mirroring a particular person, I didn't have that person. I just wanted that energy I saw on American TV because it gave life to presentation. It made it interesting. It made people connect to it. So I didn't mirror a particular person. I didn't mirror a particular style. I just made sure that I was me, and then I just matched energy. Because from where I was coming from was a very structured organization. It was insurance, like I was saying, it was portfolio management. You had to be calm, you had to be measured. It sounded a little, it was completely different from what I was trying to do. So I had to watch a lot of American TV to get the energy, not as much as to mirror a particular person. So I can't tell you that, oh, this was my role model or that person was my role model. I didn't have that. I just knew that I wanted to be myself. I knew I wanted to talk about sports, but I knew that I needed the energy that would be engaging to an audience. So I didn't have one particular person that I could say, oh, this is the person I mirror or I take after. No, I had no such thing.
Okay. But you remind me of Modele Sherafa you should. Do you get that a lot?
I used to get that because at the time I mean, she's a woman and I'm a woman. So it's usually like those things that when people say, when you're a black person in a white country, and they say, oh, you look like that black person. I'm like, no, we don't look alike at all. But, so I guess it's because I'm a woman, she's a woman. Um, because again, Modern Sharafa was a little different for me in the sense that, yes, she had, she was assertive like I am, but she was still a little calmer. I'm I'm a
Yes,
completely
I
different
know.
animal. So yeah,
No,
so
but
I've heard somebody say it, but I kind of guessed that it was maybe because we're both women in the industry. Because she was very she used to be calm and she used to build her point as opposed to me that I just go in with my energy and I'm all in. There's a reason why they call me Tega Tiger. So I guess
yeah,
that's it.
but I think it's really good because I'm not a sports enthusiast, to be honest. I can swim, but I won't go and watch the Olympics in swimming. But when I listen to you, you make me want to go and watch a match because your analysis are intelligent, you're witty as well, you're funny, you make it interesting. So how do you typically prepare for commentary? How
All
do
right.
you
So
how do you because you cover a wide range of sports as well. So how do you
yeah.
prepare typically?
So the first thing you have to know is that I'm a fan of sports before it is my job. So I tell people all the time that I don't work for a living. I just do what I love for a living. I don't work for a living. I was a sports fan long before I decided I was going to go into sportscasting. Um, and what I try to do is that when I get on air, I'm not trying to impress you with my knowledge of sports or my versatility in sports. I'm just trying to make you love sports like I love sports. So some people go on air and this is not a criticism. Some people go on air and they throw figures and they throw technical terms at people. And I'm like, if you're talking to a layman and you want him to love what you love, you can't use technical terms that they don't understand. So I like to bring it to people like it's gists. Like this is the hottest gist in town and you don't want to miss it. Extra, extra, read all about it. That is the kind of thing I like to do. So I watch a lot of sports and I follow these athletes home. So sometimes you see an athlete that should be performing very well, and for a period there's something they're not putting that performance. I will go and find out, does this person have a girlfriend? Are they quarreling? I like to I like to, just get behind why, as opposed to just telling you what has happened on the field. I also like to go behind the scenes to see why what is happening on the field is happening on the field. How are these people with their family? What influences the way they behave? And so when I come to you, I'm coming to you with hot gist. I'm not necessarily coming to you with sports results or the analysis that you get from your everyday show, but just to tell you about it so that you fall in love with the athlete and the sports the way I am in love with it. And if you don't love it, you absolutely hate it. So I don't like when people listen to me and they're on the fence. When you listen to me, I want you to passionately agree with me or vehemently disagree with me. I don't have any fence sitters after listening to it. And that's what I do in the show. So I give you as much information and as much gist in such a way that you understand it, so that even if you don't watch sports, you are just hearing the story, you can catch up and you can have an informed opinion. So that's how I prepare. It's not just about what happens on the pitch that I watch, it's also going behind the scenes to find out, did they quarrel with their teammates? Was there a fight in the locker room? Oh, did they separate from their girlfriend? Is there trouble in there? Just what happens with these people off the pitch that is influencing their actions on the pitch. And that is the extra I bring to it. So just to make you fall in love with it. So you don't just come there and think, oh, Cristiano Ronaldo has scored 700 goals. You also know, did you hear Cristiano Ronaldo is expecting twins? And it's taking it. Oh, Rafa Nadal just had a baby boy. That's why he's not just injured. Though. He has left to go and watch his baby boy. So he will come back after his paternity leave. Those are the kind of things I like to bring into it. So when you're listening to it, you can connect with the athlete, and therefore you can connect with the sport and then fall in love with the sport like I'm in love with sports.
Okay. My husband, he listens to you every time you're on 98.1. And he was telling me once that he doesn't know if you get any sleep because you cover a wide range of sports in different countries, in different time zones. So how do you combine it all?
Okay, so basically, like I said, I was a lover of sports before I used to watch sports, and so even if I were doing anything, I'd still be doing that. Um, so what happens is, most in general, I don't sleep before midnight. And if the NBA is on, like the NBA is on now, most of their games start around 2:30 a.m., 3:30 a.m., depending on if it's East Coast or West Coast. So if I sleep at midnight, I wake up around 3:30 a.m. and watch the NBA. So most in general, I make up for my lack of sleep when I was working between 5 p.m. So when I was working full-time job, I'd sleep in the office from 5 to maybe 8 so that I leave the traffic time, I avoid traffic. Then I get home at 8 and start watching sports. So I get my sleep between that 4 to 8 p.m. And then when I stopped working, it made it even easier because I finished the morning shift around 12, and then I can sleep for as long as I want to. And then sports again will typically start in the evening, and then I watch all the way till like 3:30 a.m. and I'm good.
Wow, that's a lot. But like you said, you because you're passionate about the sport, about the game, it won't seem like work to
Exactly.
you.
It's not just, yeah, it's not just work to me. I'm not even doing it because it's work. I'm doing it because I love it. Like if I were not a sportscaster, if I were, okay, maybe I shouldn't use doctor because they have unreasonable hours. But if I were an engineer or a teacher, I'd still be watching as much sports as I'm watching now. That's how much I love sports. And so it's not work to me. It's fun and I'm getting paid for it.
Okay, but you write as well. And I know it takes a different skill to be able to write about sport as well as speak about it. So how did you gain the skill of being able to write about sports as well? Because your articles are just as interesting as when you speak.
Yeah. So when I first, so when you're coming in as a journalist, regardless of at what level, the first, if you, so when I came into the industry, I spoke with a few people. If you want to have a good or all-round experience or well-rounded experience, they tell you to write too. And for me, writing typically is hard because I hate to type. I absolutely hate to type. I'm one of those people that write in pen and paper. Um, so I write out the thoughts in pen and paper, and then I go back and type. Um, but you have to, in order to get that full experience, that full education on sports, you also have to write. And because written English is different from spoken English, it just gives you a good coverage. So when I first came into the industry, I went to learn how to write. And at first, I was telling the editor that it looked very boring. And he said, that's because you're trying to write like everybody else. He said, write what you would like to read in the paper. So I thought to myself, what would I like to read in the paper? Again, I thought, I like to see gist. There's a reason why people go to read blogs. they like to see stories, not necessarily news. So I started writing sports like stories. And um, when I started doing that, I found out that I enjoyed it the more because it was now the things I like to read that I was now writing down. So yes, it's a completely different skill. It was tougher for me to write, to do print journalism than to do spoke broadcast journalism, TV, radio. Um, but yes, I had to do it so that I can get a full experience.
Okay. Okay. So which radio station or which TV station gave you your first break? And how was it like pitching to them to get a job?
All right. So the first radio station I gave my the first TV station I gave my break was NTA. So you had to Nigerian Television Authority. It's I would say it's groundbreaking in the sense that you will do everything. So usually, if you go to other radio stations, the producer is different from the reporter, is from different from the presenter. With NTA, you have the opportunity to be everything.
So but that's good. But that's good, isn't it?
That it's good. It's good. It's overworking, but it's good. And so you get to learn about everything, and you decide which one you want to be. So earlier on, when I started out, the truth of the matter is, as much as I like talking, I like to produce. I didn't want to be in front of the camera. I wanted to be behind the scenes, getting the news together, getting the content together, getting the video together. Um, then I got in front of the camera and I was like, this was not comfortable for me. So NTA was the first, and I didn't have to. And because they're always getting interns and getting people that are coming to learn and they're not paying you, you will always get the opportunity there. So the first thing you must know is that you may not get paid very well. Because like I said, when I moved to sports, for the first 6 months, I didn't earn a salary.
Wow.
And some people may not want to do that because they have bills to pay. So but like I said, I was young, and the audacity of youth and the hunger and drive in youth was able to push me. I won't do it now, but then I could take that risk. So I worked for the first 6 months without getting paid. I featured on, and that was part of the things that helped me because I just came there and I was willing to learn. So they're ready to employ me without, you know, pay. You are cheap labor, so they might as well give you the opportunity. So I did. I worked with NTA. I worked with Brilla very, very briefly. I worked with Rhythm 93.7 and Silverbird. And it was Silverbird and Rhythm 93.7 that eventually gave me my first paycheck.
Okay. So but I noticed you've stayed at Smooth the longest.
Oh, it's so as you get older, you decide what you want to do. And for Smooth FM, um, number one, they have the target audience I like, which so their demographic is a little between you know 30s and 65, so it's a little older and a little more mature. But also the work environment. So you come here, you do your work, and you kind of go home, as opposed to some other places that they like to walk you to your boat. So as you get older, you also want your time to do things, and you've earned that time. And so, as I was maturing in my career, I was able to make place demands, and Smooth FM was the radio station that agreed to my demands. I can't be hustling in
Okay,
my old age.
fantastic.
Sorry.
No, no, it's cool. It's cool. That's great. That's great. Okay, so let's move on to the other aspect of your life. That's Ladies in Sports International. So I wanted to understand what was your motive for starting the conference.
Okay, it was crazy when I first got into sports. When I went to um, I shouldn't mention the name of the TV station. So when I went to the one of the TV stations to say that I wanted to do sports, so I walked into the office and there were three guys sitting on the table. My brother brings me to the office to say, because he knows I love sports. My brother doesn't love sports at all, but he knows I love sports and I wanted to start doing it. So he takes me to this um, station where he has a friend working. and he introduced me to the sports team. The three guys were sitting on the table, and I walk in and I say I wanted to do sports, and I kid you not, all of them burst into laughter. One even laughed and fell off the table because to them, what does this woman know about sports? And I wasn't just saying I wanted to talk football, which is the most popular sport in Nigeria. I wanted to talk NBA, I wanted to talk tennis, I wanted to talk boxing, because those were primarily my sports. And they laughed me off the table. But I knew I was getting into an industry that is usually termed a man's world. So I put in the work. I took it on the chin, put in the work, and eventually I got the job. Like I said, I eventually started getting paid for it. That was the first one that said I have to get more women into sports. They have to know that women love sports. And sports is not a man's thing; it's everybody's thing. Um, but I didn't do anything about it until I had to cover the women's football league for the first time years after. And I've seen how they follow the Super Eagles. I've seen how, even with the local leagues, there's a little bit of coverage, but the women's league, nothing, zilch. And then, so I had to go to the stadium once and I saw the abysmal state. And I said, maybe I should have a roundtable discussion on women's league, but you can't just tell people to come together. You want to talk about sports, no. So I decided that a conference, if we had a conference, it can't be a one-off event. If we had a conference every year to push and promote what women are doing in sports, and also to get the private sector to attend these conferences and see what women are doing in sports and become investors in sports, then we'll be able to develop a women's game. So it was that made me to start to launch the Ladies in Sports Conference, and then we expanded it to Ladies in Sports International, which is not just a conference, but we have grants for athletes, we have training programs for journalists, for coaches, for refereeing, those kind of things. So we expanded it into Ladies in Sports International to just cover both training, grants, and then the conference that discusses, you know, how we can promote and improve the state of women's sports in Nigeria.
Okay, so from my understanding, ladies in sports is like a marketplace. You have
Yes,
sports ladies, and then you have people that can help them, that can support them, that can sponsor them. So
yes,
in my
yes.
mind, I'm thinking like it's a chicken and egg situation. Which did you get first, the sponsors or the sports women when you
The
started?
sports women, because the sports women knew that they needed this platform for exposure. They knew that they needed this to have this conversation. So we had to do personal investment. And again, because I was young, I put my money into it. I won't do that now. But you had to be personal investment. I got the sportswomen first because the sportswomen understood that they needed this. For businesses, the reason another thing I wanted to do was to stop people from giving sports charity money, because sports is not charity. It could be used as
Yeah.
charity, but it's not charity. Sports is a business. So when COVID hit in 2020, like I was saying, one of the first things that a lot of governments, especially in Europe and America, were trying to open up was sports. Do you know why they were trying to open up sports? It's a business for them. The English Premier League is huge business for them. The NBA is huge business for them. They had to even do the NBA in lockdown because that's a huge economy.
You have a communications company. Is this very distinct from should I call it an NGO? The Ladies in Sports International. It's an NGO. Okay. It's registered.
It's registered, yes, the registered NGO. Everything is locked down, even with our taxes. So, when I first started, I didn't know we used to pay taxes. I was like, "What? We're an NGO, non-profit." Anyways, but yes, I have a communications company because of my experience on radio and TV. Um, has led me to be a content producer. Um, and so that's where I also make money from, because you have to diversify your funds. Again, you can't be on TV every single time, but you have to expand um, for as an entrepreneur, as a business person. And so that's why I opened the communications company to help brands communicate their message, their vision, and whatever their image for the moment is. So we produce content for brands, ads and all for across social media platforms and radio and TV, and that's what that company is for. So another source of funds for me, but still within the media industry.
Okay. So my last question, which is what most people will be wanting to know, are you able to make a living from this? As in, when I say make a living, as in afford the things that people wish to be able to do, as in travel, buy a house, take care of your family. Does all of this afford you the life that you would love to have?
It's tricky, which is why I had to diversify into getting the communications company. Your salary alone will not help you buy a house. Um, my salary alone will help me travel, but I like life. So and I like comfort. So yes, my salary affords me travel, it affords me a good living. I will live well, feed well, pay my house rent on that salary. But if I'm going to build a house and live the kind of, I like luxury and live the kind of luxury I want to live, I will have to diversify, which is why I expanded into the communications part of it, with marketing part of it to help make more money. The truth of the matter is journalism is not oil and gas. It's not banking. It doesn't give you that kind of money. It pays well, enough for you to be comfortable, but it doesn't give you that extra to live. So I don't know about other people, but on my journalism salary, I cannot afford a house. So I have to expand into market. So what journalism has given me is the opportunity to work in radio and TV. It's the opportunity to work with ad agencies, and so that exposed me to another level of expertise. So now I was able to launch a communications company to get me more money, and so with the knowledge from journalism, I'm able to expand to get more money. But journalism on its own cannot afford you some luxuries. Cannot. Journalists are not the most well paid anywhere in the world. So, and before you start to say, but Oprah talks on TV, Oprah is not a journalist. So she may have been trained as a journalist earlier in her career, but her talk show is not journalism. That's not your everyday journalism. So Ellen DeGeneres, Oprah, they are not the journalists we are talking about. Ehen. So don't look at them and start calculating that money. Those ones have talk shows. That's a completely different level of or kettle of fish. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
So you can live
So
on journalism
I
money.
think
You can start a
we have.
family on journalism money. You can pay school fees on journalism money. But to enjoy life, it's not journalism money you need.
Okay. So I think we've said it all. You've said it all. You've given us your story, and it's been very inspiring. I want to thank you for taking the time to have this conversation with me. And I hope our viewers have equally enjoyed and are being inspired by your story. Thank you, Tega.
Thank you so much for having me.